Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Skyliners and Sky Watchers. Welcome to Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky. I'm going to be taking you through the news and entertainment of theme parks. Yes, very interesting stuff going on, especially right now because, well, today is the first official day of Universal FanFest nights. We have seen some video come out of the cast member preview, which we'll be going over a little bit because, well, let's just say I have opinions and thoughts about all those things and more, but we'll leave that to about the end of the show right there. We have so much to get to in the interim, that is for sure. Starting off here, I wanted to go ahead and, feature some stuff that was actually going on at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. That being the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run update. Because, you may have heard yesterday that they made this big showy announcement. Let me go ahead and put it on screen right now to show you what I am talking about. They made this whole big thing about, there's going to be a countdown timer to big news regarding Smuggler's Run for today. And I thought, okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and cover that, whatever that is. And I was expecting maybe a behind-the-scenes video on how it was actually being constructed, maybe a fly-through of some of the aspects of the mission that we're actually going to get by the time that this makes its debut, that being May 22nd, also being the same day that Mandalorian and Grogu is released. So it's like, okay, let's go ahead and dedicate some time to this. Well, you can see right here what that countdown actually looked like, and they made some big fanfare about it, and I'm thinking, okay, let's go ahead and see what we can see. And they debuted a poster. That's right. An attraction poster for the Mando and Grogu update to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. You can see right here, this is an animated version of that Walt Disney World's official account released. And there was some investigation done, and it was confirmed that this is also going to be the poster for Disneyland. Okay. Really? You're going to have a countdown timer? And a big to-do featuring a poster for this update. Really? That's okay. I mean, I guess that's what we're doing, but I mean, now my enthusiasm has just dipped down considerably because it's like, why aren't you showing us anything that you have in store for this big new update right here? What can we expect from this? I mean, it's like, why does, I think what Tom F in the chat right there, TJ Magnifi, that is so dang lame. It is so dang lame. And it's just ridiculous how they just don't, show us anything from this. We've seen some pieces of concept art, yes, but the whole countdown thing, the whole, hey, media, track this. Okay. Poster. Whatever. I think we learned, it's an AI poster. Yeah, it might be, yeah, it looks kind of like one, doesn't it? I mean, maybe it's been fixed up a little bit, but it does look a little bit AI. Now, I do like how they've emphasized, at least in this poster, if you compare it to the previous poster, it was just basically Galaxy's Edge with Hondo, Chewbacca, and the Millennium Falcon. Here, at least they've emphasized that, well, you are actually flying the Millennium Falcon with the cockpit and everything like that. Obviously, you have Amando's ship there, his V1 ship, or maybe V2, I don't know, or V3, I should say, because the V2 was a Naboo starfighter. Okay, whatever. And then you have the Death Star in the background right there, which is one of the destinations apparently you can go to. So there you go. Yeah, Space State 2000. They fly now. They fly now. I need that clip, actually. That's a good one. Hey, MJ, write that down. I know she's producing in the back right there. And thank you so much for doing that. This is just not good enough. It's just not good enough. This is something that a lot of people have been waiting for about 7 years, actually. There was an initial promise of this being not just interactive, but a different experience every single time. Obviously, they debuted with one mission rather than the, I think, 3 or 5 that they were talking about actually debuting. So, not so good when it comes to anticipation for this event. But apparently, people are excited for Vash Sky ParkCast. So much so that we have Juliet out there, who is one of our mods. Thank you so much. Gifting the 2 British pounds sterling. Thank you very much for that. Evening, Vash Sky ParkCast and Skyliners. Absolutely. 100%. Very, very cool stuff right there. And we've got Space Dave 2000 in the chat. The Real Ventures. We've got TJ McNafee. We've got Vixen out there. MJ, thank you so much for tuning in. Come on in. Water's warm right here. I wish I had more to showcase here from this historic update to their $250+ million attraction in the form of Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, but unfortunately, I don't have anything to show because Disney themselves didn't have anything to show for us. That was going to be today at 3 p.m. Eastern. Set my clock. Disappointed. I guess that's what Disney will do nowadays. So, yeah, if you see the title of this video, well, it might change because really there is nothing to showcase. Darn it. But I guess that's how Mandalorian and Grogu is going, right? Because we actually covered this on That Park Place, but they had the little snippet that they released for Jimmy Kimmel Live featuring the movie itself. And, well, let's just say it. It didn't bring any enthusiasm with it. So I guess that's just indicative of Disney and this Mandalorian and Grogu movie / update, everything connected to it, and so forth. But I wanted to go ahead and continue a conversation, actually, that we had regarding the open concept for Epic Universe that I guess they're either testing for or maybe a limited access to the lands, right? So it's you have these portals in which you have these scanners out in front. I think That Park Place actually has an article about this on their website, fresh out of the print there. So you can go ahead and look up what that is. And we covered this extensively yesterday on Vash Sky ParkCast. But essentially you have these portals in which you have basically demarcation points as per these stanchions, plus these team members stationed there. And they're going to be limiting access to the portals beyond them, either discerning between annual pass holders, ticket holders, or maybe even ticket holders versus all-day guests, right? If they open up Celestial Park, well, then that's where you would need that demarcation point. But we talked a little bit about corporate parties, and here's what brings us to this discussion here. You have Epcot closing at 5:30 p.m. on July 1st. No luminous fireworks, no long summer evening, likely a private event buyout. And I would say that is correct. If we look at the calendar for July 1st, we see here that is a Wednesday. So middle of the week, that's about right for a party, right? If you have a corporate event in which the whole park is booked out, you typically do that in the middle of the week because obviously it's far more expensive to do it on a weekend. And you have limited hours for day guests. This is the whole strategy of selling the park multiple times. And we've seen this from a range of proprietors. Disney's not exclusive to this. Obviously, Universal does this, SeaWorld, Six Flags, etc. Whoever wants to go ahead and buy up this park at a considerable price, like maybe Intel or somebody like that, they can. But for the regular day guest who might be planning a vacation, well, obviously you have to take these things into account. And sometimes you get there and you don't realize that these parks are closing, and it's not so good. I will say, in Universal's approach, right, to limiting people maybe within Celestial Park or limiting people within each of these portals, hopefully these corporate buyouts don't actually have to buy out the entire park. Hopefully it's like a portal. And then that way you see signage in the middle of the day saying, hey, this portal's going to be closed early for a specific event that we're hosting, so get your rides in now. And then people know, oh, okay, I still have access to that attraction, or I still have access to the bulk of this park after a certain point or before a certain point, each respective, of course. So in this way, I think this whole buy out the park thing, I don't like it. Obviously, Disney and Universal, they're trying to sell these parks multiple times per day. I get it. But hopefully Universal's approach is seen as kind of an industry trend in which you can just have certain attractions or even certain lands, portals, in Epic Universe's case, booked out rather than the entire park. So I just kind of wanted to go ahead and include that here because I thought it was very, very interesting what was actually going on. Yes, when's the 3K party? Well, interesting that you say that, Tom, because you know what? We're going to wait on that. We're actually going to have a 5K party. Because our growth is so exponential, I figured, well, let's go ahead and space out these celebrations to really make them maintain the significance of them, and obviously to give you guys a better presentation upon those milestones. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. Okay, let's go ahead and move on here down the road. We've only got like 1 hour before the Marvin's historic stream after this one right here. So let's keep moving along. I wanted to go ahead and feature this story as well. You may have seen this on That Park Place and Pro and so forth. This idea that Disney wants to reduce phone use, and in this case, that takes away from the theme park experience. This by Lindsay Brookshire over there at Mickey Visit. Here's what's interesting about this. This story is coming up right now, right? This is April 23rd. I guess this was updated, but I think this was posted a couple days ago. Here's the thing about this. If you've been a long-time viewer of Vash Sky ParkCast, you know about this. Why? Because one of the first stories that we ever covered was this media summit that was hosted at Disney California Adventure, celebrating that park's 25th anniversary. I believe it happened back in February, if I'm not mistaken, and it was hosted by Thomas Moslem, who at that point was just the head of the Disneyland Resort. Now, well, he's the head of the entire parks division, so that's very, very interesting. And I think we said that at the time, like, hey, is this an attempt to maybe ingratiate yourself with upper management and make everybody believe that you're the guy for the job? Well, if it was, it worked. If it wasn't, I guess it was just an amazing coincidence that happened. But in that media summit, they went over all of these strategies, right? About what they were going to do for cast members and so forth. Oh, hey, we're going to go ahead and train these guys up because obviously we let that slip just a little bit during the pandemic and during the recovery efforts, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and reduce friction points. We're going to get rid of the 11 a.m. park hopping rule, in which park hoppers, if they wanted to go ahead and park hop from, let's say, Disneyland to Disney California Adventure easily, well, they couldn't actually do that before 11 a.m. Get rid of that rule, and then the parks are open to all as long as you've paid that park hopping option. Okay, fine, fair enough. But part of that presentation included this whole idea of, hey, we have this over-reliance on cell phone usage, and we want to go ahead and break away from that just a tad. Now, they haven't actually detailed how they're going to do that, but they did admit tacitly that they had an issue with or I should say explicitly, they had an issue with what they call phone fatigue, and that's exactly what they actually refer to it as in internal presentations and symposiums, right? They understand that the park guest is inundated with all of these requests to use mobile devices within their parks. Whether it's booking a lightning lane, right? Maybe you're wanting to book multi-pass, single pass, or make a new lightning lane reservation. If you have those options, well, you got to go to the app to do all of that. Maybe you wanted to go ahead and manage your dining reservation. Well, you got to go to the app for that. And maybe you wanted to go ahead and manage PhotoPass. Again, the app. Tickets, all of that and more. It's all handled with the app, maybe in addition to Google Wallet if it's Walt Disney World, but still. It's all these things that, hey, you're supposed to be looking up here. And maybe you have advice given to you by other people, booking trips to Walt Disney World and so forth, saying, hey, what you want to do when you actually go to the parks is look up. You want to look up in these shops and so forth. You want to see all the great merchandise and all of that. But you can't. You can't because, well, you're bound to your phone all day long. And especially for people who are, the designated phone person, that's no good. Because now, instead of enjoying time with your family, enjoying time with your kids and so forth, you're trying to manage your next lightning lane reservation, for example, in order to avoid maybe a line like this that you're seeing on screen right now. It's no good. I do like the fact that Disney is thinking about this. I do like the idea that Disney is considering that maybe they've gone too far. This is why we have maybe the elimination of mobile checkout, for example, right? Because, I remember being privy to a symposium put on by Disney a few years ago. And one of the things that they were saying was, hey, this phone fatigue is affecting people and their purchasing decisions. It's also affecting people whether or not they're actually engaging with dining options, for example, sit-down dining and all of that. So we had to re-examine that. And well, I guess that's all come to fruition here. So now that Thomas Moslem is the head of the parks division, maybe this idea of getting away from this tendency for people to look on their phones, or this requirement for guests to look on their phones, is coming undone. Not just for Disneyland, but maybe parks wide. Maybe that includes the cruise lines, because we've seen the cruise lines actually get into this a little bit. You know, they used to have like paper pamphlets and so forth, and they used to give guests when they board, you know, showing the show times and everything like that. And now they're moving to a more app-based product, which is particularly problematic at sea because, well, people don't have service. So, you know, I always thought that was a strange move to do. But now maybe we can go ahead and step back from that just a little bit. And I think that's actually a good thing. I hope Thomas Mausam is successful in this journey. But if you were listening to Vash Sky ParkCast, I should say, well, then you would know that this, you know, has always been the case. Coming for a while, at least for Disneyland. Now maybe with Thomas Mausam stepping up, perhaps we can see that in distinct parks, both domestic and international. That might be pretty cool. Might be pretty interesting to see what that all entails. So I just wanted to go ahead and comment on that just a little bit. Thought that was very, very interesting. All right, let's go ahead and keep it going right here. Unfortunately, well, that's where the good stories, well, they might come to a conclusion because I try to keep it positive, but not everything is worth being positive about. Here you go. Let's go ahead and I'll show you guys what I'm actually talking about right here. There you go. From Toaster K24, Rockin' Stardust over there on X, who's been doing a great job documenting some things and bringing things to light in his own way. Here you go. Well, we got a new one on Tiana's tonight. This projector is like half broken. The coloration is really messed up. Just, you know, are we going to take care of this stuff or not? That's my big question right here. But you can see on your screen, that is not supposed to look that blue. That is supposed to look like the previous projections before it, in full color and very legible. And, well, that's not exactly what we're seeing here. Give me just 1 second, guys. Gotta wet the whistle just real fast. Not good, guys. Not good, fam. This is not what we want, but I guess it is what is being delivered for guests on Tiana's Blight Adventure at Walt Disney World. And of course, you have the normal things, right? You have the normal audio-animatronic issues, like, for example, Tiana. She's just so stunned to see everybody show up at her co-op right there that she's just stunned frozen. Yeah, that's most unfortunate right there. We don't like to see that, but I guess this is how this attraction goes. No good right there. We also have Lewis, who, yeah, his head's not moving there. Now, his mouth is, which is good, but his head, not so much right there. And you still have the tears along the rim there, which look very, very bad, especially under dark light because, well, the material underneath is fluorescent. So, good planning right there. And you can see, well, Tiana's moving her head in this case, but not anything else. So, again, this was all, I believe, on the same journey, actually experienced by Rockin' Stardust over there on X. So that's no good. And, oh, wait, there's more. Yes. More imperfections indeed. And, again, this ride is not that old. I think, 2 years now, I do believe. And it's already experiencing massive difficulties with pretty much all of its audio-animatronic figures, which, I guess is par for the course for Disney right now. Okay, this one actually looks okay, but obviously her face is, something's going on there. Maybe that's the, I can make jokes. I'm not going to, because I might get in trouble. But, yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's Tiana takes the short bus. Okay, here we go. Let's see what's going on right here. Let's see. Yes, Mama Odie. Yeah, not working out too well. Maybe her cane fell, something like that. That's why her arm's up right there. That's no good. That's not what you want to see. And yes, Vixen Sky Poor Tiana rides a mess. Yes, it is. It doesn't need to be this way, by the way. And that's the problem when you cut down the animatronic count from, 100 in Disneyland's case, or over 70 in Walt Disney World's case, to only a dozen, right? Every single, animatronic for an attraction this large is really, really important. It's really, really vital that they work extraordinarily well. And when they don't, well, it's the only animatronic that you're actually seeing in front of you. So all your entire attention is captivated by that animatronic, both good and bad. It's just really, really sad that they can't keep this up, because honestly, if we featured more animatronics in this, maybe a better story, this could actually be a decent ride. But unfortunately, the final version that we got is not that great. And to see anything fall below that, well, obviously it's a failing grade. So not so good right there. Don't like that. Yeah, I think MagicalyMJ Tiana's tired. Yeah, she's a little tired right there for sure. There's no question right there. This is all karma for getting rid of Splash Mountain. It might be that Splash Mountain curse. Well, it keeps on a trucking right there. Barry the Music Man, no desire to visit modern Disney. The magic is dead there. A lot of people believe that. I still think there's a little magic to be had, but unfortunately not to be had on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Not good. I don't like that. Unfortunately, just like the last one, that's what we're being delivered. There you go. More bad news. I'm sorry, guys. I don't like to do this. I don't. But I got to. Walt Disney World News today. Teddy Barra missing from Country Bear Musical Jamboree for a third time in less than a year. This by Alice Kennedy over there at Walt Disney World News today, April 21st, 2026. Teddy Barra from the Country Bear Musical Jamboree at Magic Kingdom is once again missing. The swinging bear was previously missing in September and February, and now is missing again. I don't know why this happens. We had heard from Disney that they had taken the animatronics, the beautiful animatronics crafted for Splash Mountain. When they were removing all of those in order to make way for Tiana's Bay Adventure, they took the parts from them, and they used those on these bears. They said, oh, these bears have never looked better. It's like, okay, good. Why, in fact, are these things not working out the way they have for all these years? Like, why in fact, are we having issues like Teddy Barra actually not coming down from the ceiling? I don't remember that happening on a regular basis, and yet it is in this case. I don't know why this goes on. I don't know what it is when it comes to animatronics functioning and so forth, and keeping them functioning in the modern era. But it seems to be a regular occurrence, and I'm sure that when this remains closed, does her song keep going? She wasn't there for the bare necessities. Hopefully she'll be back. Just like last time, the show goes on without Teddy Barra's physical presence. Okay, that's what I thought. Her voice comes from nowhere as Wendell and Gomer perform a whole new world. So it's just this the entire time. Wow. Oh, the follow the Bradley's fun. Because Disney can't bear it. Yeah, indeed. O2RR, seems like everyone, bad news I hear about Universal Studios. I hear 10 bad news coming out of Disney. Yes, indeed. That is unfortunately the way that is. Let's see here. James All Day TV. Vash, did you hear Bob Iger joined Jared Kushner's brother's investment firm? Uh-oh. What is going on there? That's interesting. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put a note on that, James, and we'll see what's going on there. Very interesting things going on in the realm of politics, that's for sure. We'll keep it political free here. Interesting. Thank you so much, James All Day, for that. No good, guys. Come on. It's like, look, when Splash Mountain, for like 10 years there, for Splash Mountain at Disneyland, there were issues that were plaguing that specific version of the ride, because for those who don't know, in the mid 20-teens, or maybe it was the early 20-teens, can't quite remember right now, but there was a high profile incident in which somebody was contracted to clean the exterior of Space Mountain. over there at Anaheim and Disneyland. And there was an accident in which they fell, hurt their leg, and so forth. And OSHA considered it Disney's fault because there was no adequate fall protection. And unfortunately, when there's no adequate fall protection and there's a high-profile case like that, it's like, uh-oh, now we have to examine all the attractions that may not have fall protection. And so that's why Alice in Wonderland, for example, had this horrific scrim for all these years. Oh, it was dreadful. Just completely ruined the exterior of that ride. But you also had fall protection added to Casey Jr., right? Space Mountain, which they couldn't really adequately add fall protection for quite a while for that. It started accumulating dirt and dust and grime because, well, they didn't want a repeat of that incident before they can actually set up a way to manage it and so forth. So that was no good. And then for Splash Mountain, it hit it incredibly hard because a lot of those animatronics that were found along that log flume, well, water was no longer adequate fall protection. So these maintenance technicians couldn't actually walk the track or walk along the track like they could maintain these animatronic figures. And unfortunately, you had lighting issues, you had obviously broken AAs, and so they couldn't actually properly be maintained for a long, long time. It was very unfortunate, very sad. So, when we saw Splash Mountain finally close, it was kind of sad to see it in the state that it was in, because these were 100 plus animatronic figures, many of them coming from the previous attraction America Sings that used to play in the old Carousel of Progress building over there in Disneyland's Tomorrowland. They were rescued and they were brought over, and it was just in a sorry state. The hope was that, okay, if you're going to get rid of Splash Mountain and you're going to bring in Tiana's Bayou Adventure, hopefully they can maintain those animatronics in a better way than they could the previous generation. And unfortunately, not only are we seeing issues at Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but we're seeing issues at Country Bridge Jamboree and some of these other big audio animatronic based attractions. And it's no good. These things are important to maintain, and that's just not what we are seeing. O2RR over there in the chat. Yeah, they only happen like once at a blue moon at Universal Studios, whereas bad news from Disney seems to be nonstop lately. Yes, indeed. But we'll talk about what's going on actually at Universal Studios very, very shortly there, because I think it's very, very interesting what is actually going on. Let's see here. I want to go ahead and examine my tabs before putting them up. Yes. Okay, we've got a couple of stories right here. One good, well, two good actually, and one I'm not sure about. We'll go ahead and handle this one first. Next year, an Indiana Jones themed ride-through attraction will open at Tropical Americas at Disney's Animal Kingdom. While on the outskirts of Pueblo Esperanza, the attraction takes place inside a mysterious Maya temple and will be an all-new adventure unlike any of the existing indie attractions around the world. This by Boardwalk Times over there on X. We haven't got an exact date for this, but I will say, okay, they just closed down Dinosaur. I believe, February of this year is when they closed that down. Very sad. But they're going to have this thing open in a year? Guys, I mean, if you look at the amazement that is the Indiana Jones Adventure at maybe Disneyland or even Tokyo, you know that those attractions, they didn't get built in a year. Now, I understand a lot of the infrastructure that powers those various attractions is already in place for this dinosaur replacement, that being at Animal Kingdom. So that's good. But, I mean, to really make this substantial, can they even do it in a year's time? You see, that's the thing. Right, the Real Ventures actually points out, is a year enough time? I don't know if it is. Now, look, back in the day, you used to have Joe Rohde, right? And Joe Rohde actually handled the conversion from Twilight Zone Tower of Terror to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout over there at Disney California Adventure, and that was in 5 months. Very impressive. But this is on a whole new scale when it comes to the amount of work that has to be done here. It's not just 3 drop shafts and maybe an exterior with a little bit of pre-show right there. This is a monumental sized attraction, and if you're going to convert this to a Mayan temple, man, I don't know. I don't know if a year is necessarily going to be enough time. Paul the Bradley's Fun does make a good point, though. It's likely going to be tail end of 2027, and he goes on to say that its closure might be closer to 22 months. Still, though, is that enough time? I'm not really sure that's enough time. I really don't know. I remember Indiana Jones Adventure when it was going up. I mean, that took like 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure what this is going to look like at the very end here. I'm hopeful, very, very hopeful that they actually do imbue this with some quality so that it stands up next to the greats, that being the current Indiana Jones attractions found in Anaheim and in Tokyo. But I'm not sure. Jurassic World took only 11 months, I do believe. Yes, that is true. Very, very true for that. There's no question. At the same time, though, that wasn't a giant leap from one version of the ride to the other. You know, it was still dinosaur-based attraction at a park where everything goes wrong. This is a whole different thing. This is no longer the Dino Institute. This is like a Mayan temple that you're actually trekking through. And if you've ever been through the queue for Indiana Jones Adventure, you know that even that queue didn't take a year to build. That was a long, long time. I just wonder what this is all going to be like. Kind of confused with this. They already have an Indiana Jones ride. Why build a second one? This by O2RR there. I think it's because they believe that Indiana Jones is going to be a more in-demand IP for this area of Animal Kingdom more than Dinosaur was. I think that's the idea. That's the focus there. I don't know. We'll see. It didn't really work out for the movie. So maybe it works out in an attraction form. Historically, the attractions, Indiana Jones attractions, have been seen relatively well by fans. Followed by at least fun. Vash, you're forgetting. They now have time travel with the Dial of Destiny. That's true. Okay, well, if they employ that technique, then we should be just fine right there. Thank you so much, Bear the Music Man, for coming on in. Very much appreciate you. I don't know. When I saw this post, it just kind of reminded me, wow, we're only a year away. And I don't know if this is going to be undergone with the same level of quality as we expect from the existing Indiana Jones attractions, but maybe we'll be surprised. However, we do have some very good news at Walt Disney World and also too at Universal Studios Hollywood, maybe even Florida. Blog Mickey, first look, customers begin riding Big Thunder Mountain Railroad as testing continues. This is the first time we have actually seen testing with actual people. Now, we haven't even seen the tests done with water dummies, but to actually see people on this, that is a good thing. It looks like they're going to make their date just fine. Everything goes just fine. Apparently, too, they're doing full speed testing as well. So, at least that's what Blog Mickey says on X. We'll have to see what that actually looks like. But hold your judgment before saying that this ride is slow. They might be getting up to speed. Now, that's good. Maybe you've heard about the story, but maybe you didn't hear about this other one right here, going all the way to Universal Studios Hollywood, which will spend our time for the remainder of the show. Right here, we caught some Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift testing today. With the low morning crowds, we actually could hear the revving sound coming from one of the vehicles, and we cannot wait for this to open. Yes, not only are we getting testing with this current attraction, but we are getting full spinning tests, which is very, very good, as you can see right there. That is awesome. We're also seeing the testing of the actual fully themed, train right there. You can see that. And we have spinning as well, which is really, really good. We've seen some testing with like one car spinning or two cars spinning. It's nice to see all the cars actually together right there. Still wondering why the V8 air intake is actually removed from that lead car there. But it's something we'll have to keep an eye on. We also have multi-train testing. So this is the other thing I wanted to go ahead and bring up before the big reveal here. Multi-train testing is really, really good. That means we're testing our block zones, we're testing our safety systems, and whether or not they can actually keep trains, separated apart enough to actually run multiple trains on that track. That is very, very good. Very, very good to see multiple trains testing there. But beyond that, we have our first guests that have been riding this Fast and the Furious coaster over there at Universal Studios Hollywood. So that is a big, big deal. You can see right here in the Zebra train, we have a full load of guests right there. I believe maybe technicians, ride operators, what have you right there, Universal executives, right? But to see people on this thing, well, that's really, really pretty cool. Great milestone right there. It looks like it will be making its date for summer of this year. Pretty cool stuff right there. I think we have, yes, double train testing right here as well. Look at that. Hang on here. Come on, play. Oh, you're gonna give me problems, are you? Well, there you go. You can kind of see it right there. 2 trains on the track simultaneously. That is very, very good. Love to see that. Going Shogi. Can't stand this coaster. I'm sorry, I can't do this coaster. I won't be able to stand up for days for motion sickness. Yeah, it's going to be intense. And that's why when people say, wait a minute, hang on here, it's only a minute long. Trust me, folks, it's going to be the most intense minute of your life. By the way, one of the fastest coasters in Universal's current fleet right there. I believe it is the fastest. So there you go. And by the way, we just got confirmation that track was successfully installed over there at Universal Studios Florida. So this attraction is making its way out east. You just have to wait just a little bit longer than its West Coast counterpart. Very, very good stuff indeed. Love that. But we'll stay around in the Universal Studios Hollywood area as we cover our last story. Give me just 1 second, folks. Please, MJ. Could you play a clip?
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Perfect. Love that. Love that, MJ. Thank you so, so much. We are making our way a little away from this attraction to experience other things at Universal Studios Hollywood, that being Universal FanFest Nights. Yes, FanFest Nights makes its triumphant return from a year absence right there. 2026 style. Should be really, really good. You can see right there, we've got the projections in place. This was actually taken by Theme Park Obsession out there on YouTube, X, and various platforms, right? He was there for the preview night that they had for cast members. So, or I should say team members in Universal parlance. Sorry. That's the Disney side coming out right there. Okay. There is some good. There is some bad. Or at least, okay. At least in my judgment, not as strong as some of the other elements. We'll get into all that in just a moment right there. Yes, that's the tram right there, the studio tour, taking people down to the Universal Monsters section right here. I should really say Scooby-Doo with some monster set dressings. We'll get to that in just a second right here. Let me go ahead and get this video up for you so we can go ahead and take this journey together. Oh, yes, indeedy. Okay, start out with the footage you've already seen right there. Some projections, FanFest Nights, get people excited. And boy, oh boy, the crowds were there in full force. You can see right there, a lot of people wanting to get into FanFest as quickly as possible. You can see the some of the light work and lighting that they've provided there for guests. See right here, this is the video. A lot of people there. A lot of people wanted to get in as soon as possible, experience One Piece and so forth. I think this is actually all the crowd for the One Piece show, which we'll get into in just a moment right here. But yeah, people were really excited for the first day of FanFest, which is good because a lot of people have been, they were a little bit worried when Universal discounted tickets, but it looks like it will be well attended. We'll get into that in just a moment. Here you go, Sailor Moon! We talked about how she was going to be a face character, and now we actually see her reveal. We haven't seen her 3D film, but at least for a face character, meet and greet looks very, very good and on model for that specific character. You can also see other characters here from One Piece. You can see Luffy and Nana, I do believe, and some of the others. That looks pretty good, and I will say, what we are experiencing at Water World looks very, very high class, very, very strong. I was a little bit worried with some of the footage coming out of Tokyo of a similar experience that they have over there featuring One Piece in their Waterworld Theater. I can very much say that this right here looks awesome. Looks super good. I like what I'm seeing here, that they're kind of keeping it a stunt show. They're keeping Some of the pyrotechnic effects and so forth, they're maintaining those from Waterworld. It looks all good. The only thing I have an issue with here is that the show, from what I can see, is very, very short. It's about 4 to 6 minutes from the videos I've collected online, and that's no good. Only because this amphitheater is very, very large. I can't quite tell you the capacity for it. I would be surprised if it was 2,000 people or more. This thing holds a lot of people, and because of that, it takes a long time to load. I mean, even if everybody's rushing to their seat, you're probably looking at 15-minute, 20-minute load times for just this theater alone. And so when you have something like 4 to 6 minutes, I just think that's a little bit too short. It should have been, at very bare minimum, 10 minutes, or I would say 15 minutes or more is kind of where I want to be with this. To have it this short, I'm not sure. I don't know if necessarily Universal hit it out of the box, or out of the, what is it? They hit it out of the baseball field. You know what I'm saying? You know the expression, guys. I'm not sure if they completely dialed this one in to maximize enjoyment for this, given that it is so short. But, hey, look at that. Capture the Magic's in there. Vash! Hello there, good sir. Thank you so much for coming in, Jared. Very much appreciate you. And we got to get you back on the show. So that would be very, very cool. Capture the Magic. By the way, if you haven't seen Jared over there on his channel, please go ahead. Go over there, give him a subscribe. It's very, very good to see him in the chat. Great to see his content out there. But all the costumes, as you're seeing right now, on model, and it looks like they're having a lot of fun with the choreography and the overacting and so forth. Very anime-like, which is very, very good. And a lot of people, look, what I saw online, it looks good. Even out of context, and that's what I want to go ahead and bring out during this whole entire time. Context, I think, matters for a lot of the stuff, because you're going to have, in a social media era, people taking out their phones and seeing this, whether or not people see the whole thing or just snippets. You want to have this stuff read instantly, because you don't know what that context is going to be like for the person uploading that video, right? You have to be conscious of this in the social media era. It has been a boom for theme parks, but you have to take that into account when creating these experiences that people are going to record and send out. And I think for One Piece, they did a good job. Sailor Moon, we'll see. There's no video recording for the DreamWorks Theater and the video presentation of the Sailor Moon stuff that they have in that theater. We haven't seen that yet, and we're unlikely to see that because there are prohibitions regarding all of that, recording in that theater, that is. Okay, now we're moving on to the Harry Potter Hippogriff attraction, and this doesn't really showcase. I don't really have a lot of footage, and there are some spoilers, folks, so if you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to look away just for a little bit. But big line. You actually went backwards through the castle. When you came out, you went through the greenhouse and then the forest. And in the forest, it was kind of like Villain's Grove, if you're familiar with that from Oogie Boogie Bash over there at Disney California Adventure. But you walk through this grove, very ET-like, the ETQ and so forth. Very, very cool. And you have this series of vignettes that play every once in a while with this group. Now, again, if you're at the back of this group, not going to be so good. If you're at the front of this group, you're going to get shots like this, which are really, really cool. This is pretty awesome right here with this hippogriff, right? It's freed, and it's like this big old puppet. It's huge. It really does make a statement. Look at that. That looks absolutely incredible. Really, really good, right? It looks awesome. I think the hippogriff experience right here might be the sleeper hit. Unfortunately for this one, there's always caveats, right? The line here was very, very long, plus 2 hours in a lot of cases, and it doesn't move because they're taking small groups through this experience, through what was the previous queue for this attraction, now going through this forest right here, very tight spaces, and it takes a while to get people through these various elements. But the centaur looked very, very good, and obviously the hippogriff, as you've seen, looked awesome. I think that's going to be the sleeper hit for this entire event. There's no question about it in my mind. Give me just one sec, folks, and we'll continue our journey down, down to the back lot over there at Little Europe and the Court of Miracles. One second.
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture, but like what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language.
There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie Attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
Shape language. Well, there's no shape language here, fortunately. However, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and provide the context for this clip. This is what plays on the video monitors when you are on the studio tour going back into the backlot, that being the Little Europe area with the Court of Miracles right there, where you can meet Scooby-Doo and the monsters. And this combination of things, I think, was an attempt to make this a little bit more for a quadrant, right? To separate this from Halloween Horror Nights. You wanted to go ahead and have that kid element with Scooby-Doo, that family element right there, but also you wanted to have maybe some horror elements with the Universal monsters. I thought they would complement each other. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. It looks like the monsters are just playing backup to Scooby-Doo. And as a Scooby-Doo experience, it might be very good. I'm not too sure about that either, but for a monsters experience, I was expecting a lot more, and unfortunately, we didn't get it. I want to go ahead and play the audio of what you're actually seeing right here just for a moment, because this just didn't work right here for me. Here we go. Let me see if I can actually play this and give you an idea.
I summon the original Universal monsters! Lights, camera, chaos!
It's a little cringe. I gotta be honest. It's about as much as I can take right there. It doesn't really work. And I guess the story is that this, I don't know, this you have this film set going on, and they're trying to film like a monsters movie, and then it gets taken over by somebody, and you're trying to solve the mystery on who that actually was with the Scooby-Doo characters and so forth. It's a bit convoluted, and I don't think it quite works. It's a little meta as well. And again, when you're recording elements of this, well, the context is kind of lost. Like what you see right here, this is one of our first encounters of a monster like Frankenstein in his area of the of this backlot, this Little Europe area that we're in. And you can see, what are they doing? Like, what is going on here? Like, you got the lights, you've got it looks like a rave or something like that. It looks like you're at a nightclub. But aren't you supposed to be spending time with the monsters themselves? Why isn't this creepy? Why isn't this, spooky or whatever? Why is it a light show rather than intimate time with the monsters? I just didn't get what they were actually trying to do. I thought it was going to be sort of like more in the Dark Universe portion of this equation right here. Instead, they went in entirely the opposite direction. And you can see the Wolfman right here. Obviously, it looks a lot different than his Lon Chaney Jr. Appearance there in 1941. Very, very different, and they have this kind of mask over him. I guess for simplicity's sake, that's what we're going with. That's the first time we're actually seeing the Wolfman in any of these parks, and yet it was a little bit lackluster as well. You can see right here the bride's there. You have this crazy light show going on. I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, what am I supposed to see here? What am I supposed to be watching? It didn't quite make sense to me. And again, it's like, okay, maybe I'm missing some context attached to some of these clips. Fine. But we were also missing context when it came to the Back to the Future stuff that occurred in an area very similar to this at FanFest 2025, right? That took place in Courtyard Square, or Courthouse Square. And, that's where Back to the Future was actually filmed. And in this case, this is also where the monsters are filmed, this being Little Europe right here. So I was expecting an experience maybe similar to that because it was so successful. Back to the Future, I can't tell you just the level of atmosphere that they were able to provide in that space. Again, a space really that's not really for theme parking. It's really a space for movie making and so forth. But they really dressed it up nicely. They had vignettes that played out scenes from the film. And no matter the context that was captured by people and that was shared, you instantly got it, and people wanted to be there. I had calls, actually, from people in other countries saying, hey, is Back to the Future going to be there next year? This is going to be awesome. Can't wait to actually go see this. And so I was like, okay, if you're not bringing back to the Future this year, what is going to be the marquee attraction this time, especially for an experience in which you board the tram, get off, and you go through this kind of experience? Scooby-Doo and the Monsters, I think, had potential, but it was simply not realized as far as I could see right there. You can see right there that you have Scooby-Doo on one side, and you have the Wolfman doing his thing, and you have Frankenstein over there on the fountain of the Court of Miracles. Such a famous shooting location, but then you had this light show going on, and he's like gyrating or whatever, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, what was the tone here? What were you trying to convey when it came to including the monsters in this area? And there is this kind of skit with Scooby-Doo and the gang, right, where you have Daphne, Velma, Shaggy, Scooby, and the other guy. What's his name again? Can't remember. Okay, you have the gang right there, right? And they're trying to, solve the mystery or whatever. And they're in front of this curtain representing this backdrop, this fake backdrop, I guess, because they're on like a film set or whatever. And they have these projections play out up top of the gang, going back and forth through doors and so forth, kind of like the cartoon show. But it just didn't really work. It just was. I wish I could show you the video. There are some videos on YouTube detailing all of this, and I want to go ahead and be respectful of those creators, of course. But I'm just looking at this and I'm going, what is going on here? Like, what? Oh, I say this again and again and again because I'm really stunned. What were you trying to accomplish with an experience like this? And again, they do give you these pamphlets, and you're supposed to figure out this mystery or whatever. I just think they took the wrong tone and tenor for something like this. I think it should have been scary. I think it should have been more subtle rather than over the top, as you can see right now. And it should have been creepier. You could have the monsters and Scooby-Doo and the gang be the stars. You can go through the mystery with the Scooby and the gang, and when you actually come upon maybe the monsters, then you actually really do showcase them in a setting that's more befitting of them. Instead, that's not what we saw. If you wanted to go ahead and reenact scenes from both Scooby-Doo or even the monsters, right? I mean, what if you came upon a scene in which they're bringing Frankenstein's monsters alive, as we saw in the original black and white movie? That would have been awesome, right? Oh, it's alive with lightning effects and so forth. It would have been really, really cool. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We just see the Wolfman and Frankenstein stretching and gyrating and doing all this stuff. Guys, I am disappointed in this because I really want this event to continue. I really want these things. You can see right here this interaction between Shaggy and Frankenstein featuring his sandwich or something like that. Very, very bizarre. Not necessarily including the charm that we saw with maybe Marty McFly and Doc and, Marty's father, George McFly, right? And Biff and all of that. This just didn't work for me. And that's the thing. If it didn't work for me, hopefully it worked for people there, but I'm not sure. And like I said, I want this event to continue. I want this event to return. But you have to have a stronger showing than this. And this is supposed to be the marquee attraction. This is supposed to be the highest capacity attraction that you provide. And I just don't think I even want to get on that tram if I do go to this experience at all. Back to the Future, like I said, people want to come from all over the world to see that. This, I don't know. Maybe it's for the kids. But guess what, folks? I didn't see any kids there. At least during cast member preview night. Maybe that changes with the official opening that's supposed to occur tonight at Universal Studios Hollywood. Maybe we do get some more kiddos in there. And maybe they take to it differently than I do. Hopefully they do. But again, this is an event that goes from, 1 to 2 a.m.? Pretty late for a school night. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, it could be really, really good. And maybe the people there are really, really excited to be there and are having a fun time. And maybe I'm just not seeing that. But I just remember how Back to the Future made me felt. Not just when I was there, but when I was seeing video leading up to that moment. You instantly got it. No matter the context, it instantly read, and people wanted to join in on the fun. Here, you can see. I think it explains itself. Thanks to the Sky coming in here, the monsters deserve better. They contributed so much to Universal. Yes, they actually saved Universal's rear end multiple times, actually, in its history right there. Universal Studios didn't do all that well in the mid 20th century, right? It had some challenges, had some problems, as a lot of studios did, but it came out all right because of the monsters. It really was the backbone for Universal's existence for so long. You would have thought they would have showcased them better. Just didn't really work out. Dan's Life of the Kingdom, Universal Studios Hollywood can build a Monsters Unchained attraction. And that's the other hope, right? The other hope was, hey, maybe this was a test to see whether or not featuring the monsters at Universal Studios Hollywood would resonate with fans as well as it did in the East Coast with Epic Universe and Dark Universe. That would be very, very cool. But I don't know if people will take to this, just because I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. Why is he doing that towards a wall? I don't know, fam. A little bit disappointing, and that's why the thumbnail says, "Is this lame?" Because to me, this looks a little lame. I would have issues and problems trying to sell people on this concept with these videos out there. I just would. It just doesn't. It's just not a strong showcase for something that is taking the place of Back to the Future this year. Something so successful, something that people still talk about today. One of the last things that maybe Adam Lou even saw. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know. FanFest was pretty much mid last year too. Back to the Future was not fun. You have to time it on the tram, or else you end up in the middle of the acts. This year they said, who needs IP? Interesting. Freeman, yes, 35. It's an interesting idea. I mean, you certainly, when you got off the tram initially, you certainly could end up in the middle of the act. There's no question about that. But it was worth. I mean, I spent 4 hours down there, and I enjoyed the fact that I kind of came upon something, and I could see the cycle in its entirety multiple times if I chose to. So perhaps they heard that feedback. Maybe they thought, hey, we'll go ahead and do something different. Didn't quite work out in this case. But one thing that did work out very, very well, Jurassic Park. We featured this, right, in earlier coverage here on Vash Sky ParkCast. And I just love this. I just think this is absolutely phenomenal. We did preview this during the day. I said, oh man, if they bust this out for FanFest at night, this is going to be off the chain. And sure enough, it is. It's kind of a parking lot almost setting that they have this all in. So obviously in the day, it doesn't look all that impressive, but we get the light going, the fog, and alarms going off and everything like that with this Velociraptor encounter right here. I think it plays much, much better. And still, you have, John Hammond and, some of the other amazing characters and personalities attached to Jurassic Park films actually meeting and greeting with you. I think it's really, really fun as well. So fortunately, Jurassic Park, I think they already had a winner on their hands with the earlier preview that took place earlier this year. So setting it at night, well, that's just icing on the cake in this in this version right here. Very, very cool. Nice to see all of that and much, much more. Okay, I do believe we're just about wrapping up here. Let's see right here where we have to go. I didn't quite see. Is okay, yes. All right, just want to make sure that the M4 Empire was actually streaming right there, so we can go ahead and send you all over to his way, because Marvin puts on a fine program right there. We don't want to go ahead and take anybody away from that. I just wanted to go ahead and say, for the record, still excited for FanFest nights, but maybe their future rather than their present. I know their past is really, really good, and Sailor Moon does have me excited, along with also too One Piece and having that be its own water show. That's really, really pretty cool. Jurassic Park is very awesome. Haven't seen much from Dungeons and Dragons, but from what I understand, whatever was experienced last year has been reenacted this year, although it's been updated with new lighting, special effects, and so forth. So that looks good. Jurassic Park looks awesome. Harry Potter, sleeper hit. I think that's going to be really, really cool, assuming that they can get those lines down, of course. But Scooby-Doo, the monsters, the marquee attraction here, I just don't think it worked 100%. Anywho's, that's my thoughts on Universal Fan Fest nights, at least from afar. I'd like to go ahead and get people on who actually have been there and see from them whether or not the atmosphere for them lived up to expectation. That would be really, really pretty cool. I'm trying to arrange for Ivan to be on this channel in some way. I know he works at the time when we stream, so maybe we can actually do something pre-recorded and play that for you. That would be really, really, really cool as well. This FanFest story is not over. However, we need more information, and that is for sure. Also, too, I'd like to hear Vixen's comments on this, which, by the way, I think we are, that being on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern for members only. Again, Vash and Vixen, it's a members-only stream right there, and for $2.99, you get access right there to that show. Happens once a week, and I know she's really excited about it. I hope to see all of the members on the Saturday live stream with Vash Sky. It's going to be a really, really fun show, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. Indeed. For everybody else, thank you so much for joining us as Skyliners. We are going to be streaming again to you, to the public, on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, following that Park Place, and on every single Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right before the M4 Empire. Which, speaking of which, we got to get you on over there. Let's go ahead and round down the show right here. Hopefully you enjoyed our program. Again, join us for Saturday. It's going to be a very interesting stream, talking about all kinds of stuff, not just FanFest, but maybe some stuff going on in the marriage department over there at Disney Parks. Phantom of the Opera. Did you know that it actually made an appearance at Disneyland? Yes, it did. And it played for a little while there. We'll be exploring that history and much, much more. Should be a really, really fun show. Awesome stuff. Oh, TJ McDuffie, don't forget about tomorrow. I do believe that Park Place is having maybe a 30K stream, perhaps, in place of Jonas and Marvin's show over there at that Park Place. Would be cool if we can go to that. But there you go. I think that's what you were referring to. I haven't heard details on it, but I'm sure we'll find out something soon. All right. Just about wraps it up. Thank you so much, mods, and thank you to all of you for coming on in. Let's kind of go ahead and get you over as I prepare that. Yes. Remember, everyone out there, Skylanders, Sky Watchers, the sky is the limit. Yes, that's true. Okay, all right, Tom. Rude banter, yes. Tom's hosting. I do apologize. Tom is hosting that show, so if you like rude banter, I do believe they go live, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow? I do believe that's the case right there. It's following that Park Place. Tom's going to be hosting right there. He's going to have all the friends over there. That's going to be really, really fun. So join us for that. Okay, now, the sky is officially the limit. Thanks, guys.